Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever edition of the BAP Podcast. My name is Brett Twellmeyer. I'm joined by my co-hosts Pavle Markovic and Alexander Duke.
What's up?
Guys, today we are going to be taking a deep dive actually, I guess, on realignment, the implosion of the Pac-12, how that's going to affect the Big 12 for the football and men's basketball season. So, guys, let's get into it. Taking a look at these four teams that are leaving the Pac-12, joining the Big 12. You've got the Arizonas, Arizona State, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. Just which one of those ones kind of screams out the most to you when you look at this, the football roster and then the basketball teams as well?
Well, when you think of football, it's obviously going to be Colorado, bringing Deion Sanders' program over here with Travis Hunter and his son Shedeur Sanders over here. It kind of brings some more added competition, but also brings that drama along with it. So, for Colorado for football joining the Big 12, I think it's a really good addition because, the Big 12 is not really known much for football. It's more of a basketball conference, so I think it's going to be a really good addition.
Yeah, Colorado's going to be fun to watch for sure. I honestly, in my overall preseason power rankings, I don't have them doing super hot, kind of following what they did last year and just kind of falling off the face of the planet. Granted, they had a bunch of injuries, but I don't have them super duper high. I think Utah is going to be very, very interesting coming into this.
I like that pick because we know that Cam Rising's coming back.
Yeah.
So that could definitely help them out a lot. I've seen a lot of stuff of just Utah fans in general everywhere thinking that they're going to come in here and running the conference. We know how good they were in the Pac-12 in years past. They very well could be because you've got teams like the top two for years and Texas and Oklahoma out of the way now. So
yeah, it's kind of open to whoever decides that they want it more.
Yeah, that spot for the top dog is going to be incredible to watch probably. But I'm honestly looking at Arizona. I think they were a little under the radar last season, just kind of behind the coattails of Washington and Oregon. And now that they're out of the way and the top dogs in the Big 12 are out of the way and that it's wide open, I'm looking to Arizona as a possible team that could end up stealing this for the football season.
Yeah, I have them right up towards the top of my power rankings here. They're not in – I have them separated into categories. My top three, I called them those dudes because they are those dudes that I think can make the deepest run. I don't know if really any team is equipped to go make a huge push for the Natty.
Yeah.
But it could break itself down that way that we have another TCU-esque type run with some of these teams. The top three that I do have, those dudes include the Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Jayhawks of Kansas, and then I do have the Utes of Utah.
I've got the same top three, but instead of Utah, I've got Arizona as my 1, and then I've got Kansas at 2, Oklahoma State at 3, just because what Mike Gundy's able to do year in and year out. It was expected to be a down year for them last year, and the fact that they were able to make the Big 12 championship, you just can never underestimate the Cowboys.
They had a really good year last year, especially running the football.
Yeah.
And speaking of my top three, it's different from you guys. I got Arizona winning the Big 12, Oklahoma State right behind them, and then Utah finishing in third. They all three are just prestigious programs, I feel like, and, Oklahoma State being the lone Big 12 school in there, the original Big 12 school in there. So I think it's going to be a fun year for football in general. A lot of competing teams, but I see those top three finishing how they are.
Yeah, so across us three, we have 4 teams within our top 3, Arizona, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. But what about some dark horses, just teams that could be a little under the radar this year that might make some noise and possibly have a push to that Big 12 championship?
It might be a little bias.
I see where you're going.
But I do have the Clones getting a little bit closer to the top. Like they made a really kind of out of nowhere push this past season, especially after the disaster was the year before.
Yeah.
They won some games that I was not expecting them to win, and then they were, a game out of the championship or a game or two or something like that?
Yeah, around there, felt like. I
didn't realize we were that close until the end, but I think they return. I think I saw a number. It was we are the 4th or 5th in terms of returning seniors, or not returning seniors, returning starters.
Yeah, I think it's 18 out of 22 of the starters from last year.
We have so many. I think we were right behind Iowa and right above Colorado for returning starters, which is crazy. Yeah. So we have all that experience coming back. We got another year of Rocco to see what he's up to. Receiving core is fairly the same. I know that we lost Dimitri Stanley, but he didn't have a super productive year last year, so
No.
we can probably fill those shoes fairly easily. But that's my dark horse to shake it up.
Yeah, Higgins and Knoll are definitely going to be the leaders of that group. And then you're bringing in Isaiah Alston from Army. Interesting about him, he only played 4 games for the Black Knights last year, but ended up leading receiving for Army. So, I mean, Army's a run-first team, but now that he's going to be a part of an offense that's probably going to throw the ball more than they run the ball, I think I'm excited to see what he can do. And knowing that you're bringing back everyone in this offensive line, that's going to be a big piece of this puzzle too.
Yeah, I feel like my dark horse is actually going to be Texas Tech, because their transfer portal this year was really well. They got a 5-star receiver this year, and not just from the transfer portal, recruiting in general. They ranked second in transfers and commits to their school, and they're getting back the running back Taj Brooks, I believe. He really torched the Big 12. He finished second in yards, only behind Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. So, I mean, they feel like they're really brewing something down there in Lubbock, and I feel like they're one of those teams that could make a push and really compete in this Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I was thinking of Texas Tech as well. Last year I had them in the Big 12 championship game, and they completely fell apart, it felt like. But
they did not
even
sniff that.
No. This year, though, I feel like it'll be a bounce-back year. And like you said, Pavle, with all those pieces that they're getting, I think that they can make a bowl run. But then over on the basketball side, definitely a lot different. Arizona's kind of the only one of these schools that really screams like they can be a big contender. Just what do you guys think about these Pac-12 teams entering, and which teams do you think can make a run at that Big 12 championship?
Like you said, talk about Arizona, top dog to finish top 25. They're just they're probably more known for basketball, but they are one of those schools that are good in football and basketball. So, Arizona really screams out to me, but also Colorado kind of had an underrated year this year, They went to the March Madness tournament this year, kind of made some noise a little bit. So, I kind of talked about them for football, but they could be a little, kind of a dark horse, honestly, for basketball, if you think about it.
Very true.
Yeah, with Colorado there, they are losing one of their better pieces, Cody Williams, entering the NBA draft, projected lottery-ish pick. But I think we got another year like we did this year where we have a newcomer come and basically dominate the regular season like we did with Houston. We're going to get that with Arizona again.
Mm-hmm.
They are also losing quite a bit of talent. I know Caleb Love and all of his buddies are graduating, or they're out of
the program.
Yeah, whatever's going on down there. But Arizona's good every year. They're going to find ways to make their program scream. Kind of a Kansas-esque thing. They're just always good. But, yeah, my top 3 for basketball, Arizona. I have Iowa State back up there, and then Houston.
Yep. I've got the same top 3.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not really going to be a whole lot of movement. You could see Kansas up there. They're always good.
Of course.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to be able to have it this year. And then looking at, dark horses, I'm thinking West Virginia. They had a terrible year this past season, but now that you're bringing over Darren DeVries, Tucker DeVries is going to be joining him over there. I think that West Virginia is going to be a fun team to watch this season, and maybe they could slip in there into maybe a play-in game for the NCAA tournament or something.
Yeah, they did have a very good year very bad year this year. They made a lot of good upgrades in order to turn that around. So a lot of their games were very close, and just they were one little piece away from making that next step, which is what brings me to my dark horse, the Cincinnati Bearcats.
That's
I might be slightly off on this, but they only had one loss all year that was more than 5 points in Big 12 play. That is, and that was to Iowa State.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every other loss of theirs was it was like the Vikings, was it 2 years ago when they won all of these super close games.
Cincinnati's the opposite.
Yeah,
losing the close games.
Losing those super close games. They just need a closer, and I think they might be able to turn around some of those games and end up winning more than they didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, this might not really come as a big dark horse contender, especially in the Big 12. But, I'm kind of thinking Baylor, even though, they have like the top 4 maybe kind of teams, like talking about Iowa State, Arizona, Houston, and maybe even Kansas too. You know, can't doubt Bill Self. You know, I really like what Scott Drew's been able to do with that program. You know, him not leaving to Kentucky was really huge for that program.
Absolutely.
And you know, just you can never really count out Baylor. They're always like a solid team. They made the tournament. They always keep games competitive. So I really expect them, even though it's not like a major dark horse, I'd say it'd still probably be like one of the more, I don't know. They could make something happen, I guess.
It feels crazy to talk about Baylor as a dark horse, especially after this year that they had this year, where or even the years they've had in the past, they've been a very strong program.
They won a national championship 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was 3 years ago.
It was.
Yeah, and then obviously Kansas has theirs too. It's weird to talk about those schools like they're just on the side.
Yeah,
like
you
they're
dip a little bit
still
after winning a
threats.
championship, and people just think it's the end of the world.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
but you can never count those teams out. But that's all the time we have today. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we might catch you on the next one. See ya.
Bye.
See ya.